4 bites.
Is that it? Welcome back.
We're still going.
We're still going.
You want me to keep going? I'll keep going.
I wish I had the nails. My hands hurt.
Mine too.
Hi friends.
Hi.
Haley's husband keeps texting me. And now he's in a suit. Your husband is having a
What's he
great
watching?
time. The Gentleman
Oh, okay.
with Theo James, and he was like, damn girl. So you have that to look forward to when you get home.
That's true.
Welcome back. We are literally so happy that you're here. I wish that I weren't here. And I wish that I hadn't read this book.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nallen.
I think y'all are so dramatic.
I'm talking to you specifically, Laura, actually. Hey, girl. Hey, Laura. Hey. This video is for Laura Nallen specifically. If you're not Laura Nallen, you can keep scrolling or you can tag her in the comments. But this is specifically for you, babe. Hey, hi, how you doing? What was this?
Literally.
What was this? You think I'm going to read it again? You think I'm going to experience this?
No.
And then I'm going to read it again from Finney's perspective?
Oh. I'd rather no. I'm not gonna say it. I can't do that. I'd rather shoot myself.
No, I'd rather actually be dead.
Yeah. I literally would rather pull an Autumn than read the second one.
I'll read the second one. I'll do it.
I've really thought about it. I'm so torn actually. I want to read it because I want to know what happens, and I love Finney with my whole heart. But also I don't want to read it because I love Finney with my whole heart, and I don't think I can go through all of that again.
I think going through it again from his perspective will be so much worse.
Yeah.
I think it will be even more devastating.
He was head over heels in love with her.
And never stopped. Mm-mm. She, like, from the beginning, you're watching her kind of, like, come around with her feelings.
Yeah.
He didn't have to come around.
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
I'll read it. I'll let you know how I feel.
Yeah.
I'll post it on my page.
Do it.
I'll
do it. Y'all don't have to.
I just honestly think that, like, I would die inside.
Yeah, I'm already dead inside, actually.
I don't normally cry during books.
Yeah.
And I definitely cried multiple times during this book. It has a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
A lot of big feelings.
I think what made it, because I'm very dramatic, and I cry very easily. I cry very easily, especially when it comes to books.
Yep.
This one, I literally sobbed so hard. And I think the reason why it hit me so much harder is because 2 reasons. One, I'm so used to reading fantasy and things like not being actually practical. Like, I'm not about to go fight in a war with a few, like, Fae Bat Boys.
Sure.
And, like, risk
but boy, would I.
But boy, would I.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go hop on a dragon and try to...
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But boy, would I.
But this could 100% happen. And it probably, honestly, has happened to somebody. Like, this is such a real story. And I think that's why it hit me so hard. Also, little side note, tangent. I was also in high school, and I also fell in love in high school. And also, I didn't tell my now husband, I didn't tell him when I liked him. I liked him in freshman year when I first met him, and I didn't say anything because I was stupid and I was dumb, like Autumn. And it just made me think, like, what if I hadn't told him that I loved him 2 years later? Like, it took me 2 years to tell him, hey, actually, I've liked you this whole time. What if I didn't?
And,
like, would he have been with me? Like, that's why it hit me, I think, so hard, because I was like, that, like, what if that happened? Granted, like, their situation is still very different than that, but, like, also, why was I so afraid to speak up? Why was I so afraid of, like...
Because we're literally kids, and we're terrified.
Yeah.
Here's how Haley handled this book. I received a text Monday at 11 p.m. from Haley's husband that said, y'all cannot give Haley sad books to read anymore. And I said, text Alanis.
People voted on it. This was not me.
He did
But we don't have the I don't have names. I need Susie to go into the Google form, give me names of who voted for this, tell me who, and then I need to have a serious conversation with them. Because you did. You got the votes.
Mm-hmm.
It was a suggestion. People didn't have to take the suggestion.
And they did.
True.
They took it.
That's true.
He said the next book for book club has to be a lighthearted, hilarious, sex-filled romp of an adventure. He said she is sobbing. He said it's bad. Like I can't even rub her arm yet because she's processing bad. And so I said, tell her to FaceTime me. And she did. And her poor little face.
It was so swollen.
Her little face was so swollen.
Yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before, I went on TikTok, and when you post something, it goes straight to your friends.
Yes.
And I went on there, and it was literally just Haley like, and I was like, oh, and then I scrolled again, and she goes,
I could just be crying at books.
she's like, this book broke me. I'm like,
You're like, oh, so Haley finished the book.
I was
Got it.
genuinely, I was shaking. Like I was like a little chihuahua because I was like because it just hit me so hard. It was so sad, and I was
Oh my
telling
God.
Hannah that you see, so the book starts off with something. Finney and
Sylvie
get into a car accident. She's unscathed, even though she had no seatbelt on. Finney, it doesn't even specifically say what happens to
makes
Finney,
no sense to
but
me.
obviously it makes sense that something happened to him in the car accident and he probably died. So this whole book, I'm reading it knowing that Finney is going to die. And then this whole book goes on, and Finney and Autumn aren't talking to each other, and they're not friends anymore for literally no reason. And
for so long.
for so long. And then finally it gets to a point, and so it's in the back of my head, but I'm delusional, and I was trying to suppress it because I was like, well, maybe that's not going to happen. Maybe they're going to end up together, and it's going to be a different situation because it didn't talk about Finney and whether he was hurt or not.
Can you just pause for just 2 seconds?
Yeah.
It's time to be real.
oh.
Absolutely perfect. Keep going.
Okay,
I love
awesome. So we get through the book. Things are horrible. I cry 80% of the way. 80% of the book I'm crying. Just because it's sad. It's a sad situation. I want them to talk to each other. I want them to be friends. I want them to become lovers. And then, so the book goes on, and I hate Jamie the whole time. I don't like Sylvia. And
Sylvia.
Jamie has his moments.
I
Sylvia.
like Jamie.
I like Jamie sometimes, but there were a lot of red flags, and there were a lot of things that I was
The
like,
whole
I know.
pushing sex on her, but then I was like,
Yeah.
but a lot of teenage guys do that. It's
Right,
not.
but Finney wouldn't have done that. And so we get to the end,
Right,
and
fair
it's
point.
literally perfect. They are back together, they're best friends, and I love that they get to be best friends again before they share their feelings
Yeah.
with each other. And when they finally share their feelings with each other and everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And I really didn't want to finish it because I was like, I like it right here,
Right.
and I don't want it to be over. And then literally when she's like, I don't want you to go, can you just do this tomorrow? And he says, I'll be right back. And I lost it because I was like, he's not going to be back. He's going to go get in a car accident. And then the worst part about it, sorry, I'm talking a lot, guys.
No,
I'm just
please.
so passionate. The worst part about it for me was he got struck by lightning. Or not struck by lightning, but got electrocuted.
I want you to know. So I came over here. Alanis read the book out loud to
Like
me.
the last 5%
From
Yeah.
so from her story that she wrote about Izzy and Aiden,
Yeah.
she read that through the end for me.
Uh-huh.
And I just laid here on the couch and felt my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
She kept pausing for me because I'd be like, ah! As if she'd give me a moment. And they'd be like, okay, you may continue. And when the car accident was happening, I was like, okay, it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. I was like, but I still was like, I don't know where this is going. He's getting out of the car. I don't know what is about to happen. Because, Lacey had kind of theorized, she was like, what, does he get out of the car and then get hit by a car? I don't
Right.
understand. What is happening? And then they said he didn't notice the power line down.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as Alanis read that line, I literally flipped over on the couch, shoved my face into the pillow, and I was like, ah! And so Alanis paused. She gave me a moment to feel my feelings. And then she continued, that made it 9 million times worse.
Yeah.
If it had been freak accident, car accident, awful timing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awful timing, so unfortunate. But
Yeah.
like, that stuff happens, and it sucks.
Yeah.
No. He was fine.
Mm-hmm.
He was fine.
Yeah.
He got out of the car. He was checking on her. He was trying to get her to come too. And then he put his hand down into the puddle. And
the way that she describes it broke my heart. Like, let me go to it because,
we have cookies and we're not going to eat them.
yeah.
They're just displayed very
They're just
beautifully
there.
because, Haley put them out here.
Haley got us
Thank you
cookies.
so much.
Normally we try to eat the snack.
I'm too sad.
This book, no.
Have you ever noticed on the cover that one of the lollipops is smashed?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I knew it wasn't truly Romeo and Juliet and they didn't both die.
Yeah.
I hate that this is called If He Had Been With Me because Homegirl was the one who got, like, everything twisted. Like, he kissed her, and then she was like, why are you experimenting on me? Like, what?
Yeah.
Who is why would he be experimenting on you?
And that's like, I feel like that line sums up the whole point of the book, but like, if he had been with me, and then the next one's, if I had only told her, like, because you're talking about whenever Finney kissed her.
Yeah.
So, in that moment, because like, the reason she got so freaked out is because, like you said, she thought he was just being a teenage boy, when in reality, he was in love with her.
Yeah.
And what if in that moment, all he had to do was be like, hey, I love you, and I've always loved you. She would have said it back.
Right.
She would have been like, oh my gosh, I love you too. And then it would have been perfect and it would have been fine.
Because
I don't think she would have in
Yeah.
that moment. I think in that moment she would have been like, whoa, brother.
Right, a little bit freaked
You need to
out,
slow
and then
down.
she would have.
But at least
But then
they would have been
at
honest
least
with
she
each
would have
other.
known.
Yeah. Because then when they got to that conversation, after graduation, they've known each other for how long? And he's finally like, I've loved you since 5th grade.
They've literally known each other since they hopped out of the womb.
Yep.
Yeah. It's this line, whenever he dies. She says, death happens to him more suddenly than I can describe to you or even care to imagine. And that was, I was like, that. And what made me so upset is not to, like, put it on somebody, but it's Sylvie's fault. She did not, I'm sure Finney would have told her, hey, put your seatbelt on. And I think it even says that in the beginning of the book. Like, Autumn's like, I knew Finney probably told her, put your seatbelt on, and it was clear that they probably had a fight. But Sylvie wasn't wearing her seatbelt, and had she been wearing her seatbelt like Finney was, they would have both been fine. The only reason he got out of the car was because she flew out the window, and she was fine. She was just a little unconscious. She was fine.
She flew out of a windshield.
Yeah. And had he not, and him being Finney, always caring about others, even if he doesn't really like them, he gets out of the car to go check on her, even though she's completely fine. Didn't even need to go out. It would have been like the whole circumstances just make it so much more sad than it needs to be.
Yeah.
This book in general, when I started it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Because the way it's written is kind of weird. It's not like a typical book.
Yeah.
The style of the writing. Once I got like, I don't know, probably like 15-20% into it, I was like, okay, I kind of get the vibe now. I like it. Like I was getting more into it. But it definitely, like, it took a minute to get into it. I was kind of like, what is this writing style? It was just different. Page 7. I was like, oh, she says, during job week in 5th grade, I told the class and teacher that my career goal was to move to New York, wear black turtlenecks, and sit in coffee shops all day, thinking deep thoughts and making up stories in my head. I said, how did you write that about me? How did you figure that out? Laura, how'd you get in here? Even Lacey was like, they clocked you on page 7. They clocked you. I was like, yeah, no, that is pretty much the dream. Got me there. But like the whole way she wrote, like, there were some lines and I was like, wow. Like, some of these lines are just bangers.
Yeah.
Like, some of them are so good. But then there were other times where I was like, I feel like she's trying too hard to seem profound.
Yeah.
And, like, she's trying too hard to, like, make this like, wow, that was deep. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
like trying a little too hard for it.
Yeah.
There was one line. This is so stupid because it means really nothing in the context of this book. It means more after reading further because this line happens on page 40, chapter 9. Later in the book, when she's talking about how, like, in winter she's always depressed, she really struggles in winter, she hates winter, and it always seems like winter's never going to end. And you know the winter always ends, but sometimes things just don't happen the way they're supposed to. And, like, what if winter never ends? Because she's in the thick of it. And, like, the metaphor there of, like, being in the thick of it and being like, I know I always get out of it, but, like, boy, it always seems like I'm not going to.
Right.
Felt that one, sister.
Yeah.
But chapter 9, page 40, she says, to everyone's surprise, spring comes early that year. And it's such a simple line, but, like, it made me think of, like books like Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier or, like, The Great Gatsby. Like, you know how books like that, they always will, like, end on a line like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they end on this line that's seemingly doesn't mean much, but the way it's written seems profound.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, to everyone's surprise, spring comes early that year. Felt like the end of, like, an older, like, profound book to me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, in the context of this book, it honestly doesn't mean a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's more meaning once you learn to know, like, how much she hates winter.
Yeah.
But when I read it, I highlighted that line because I was just like, it just feels like a line that, I don't know, would be at the end of, like, some iconic story.
Right.
I don't know. Just, like, the way she writes
Yeah.
is really interesting.
I said that I highlighted 3 things. I was wrong. I highlighted 4 things.
Okay.
But I'm just going to go over my highlights.
Okay.
Mhm.
Super quick.
Mhm.
I, like, never highlight anything in books, so this is, like,
This is
huge
big for you.
stuff for me.
Yeah.
I am pretty proud. So I'm just going to share just before that I have.
Mhm.
I have, my first one is on page 111, and I highlighted, it says, I know that, but there is a difference between knowing something and feeling it. I've known that he wasn't my Finney anymore, but now he is on the other shore, separated from me by an ocean I am afraid to cross, and I can feel it. Felt like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I like
Yeah.
the visuals.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
The next one was on page 186. I highlighted, my love for Finney is buried like a stillborn child. It is just as cherished and just as real, but nothing will ever come of it. That hurt me when I
Yeah.
read that. Because once again, like, just the visual, like, the way
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
she puts the words onto something that's, like, real.
Yeah.
Like, I could see
Mhm.
it. I could see how what
She, like,
feels
makes the
about
feeling
this.
tangible.
Exactly. The next one was on page 205. It was super short, simple. It says, it is spring and a breeze is ruffling our hair like loving fingers. Once again, the whole bringing up spring. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and now you understand, like, because that's chapter 40. Like, you
Mhm.
understand now why she loves spring.
Mhm.
She finally gets out of winter.
Yeah.
And then my last one's also on page 205. It says, this is friendship and it is love, but I already know what they have not yet learned. Sorry. Let me restart that because I totally butchered that line. This is friendship and it is love, but I already know what they have not learned yet. How dangerous friendship is, how damaging love can be. I was like, dang.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy, like, all of, like, I highlighted so much in this book because there were just so many little lines that I
Yep.
was like, dang, banger,
Yeah.
banger. Even, like, I was super thankful for the funny parts
Mm-hmm.
and, like, the true, like, dry sarcasm funny
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
some of it because it helps balance how much
Yeah.
pain we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I did really appreciate that. Like, whenever they're celebrating New Year's the first time, and she said, we scream as if this display of joy will frighten all our fears away, as if we already know nothing bad will happen to us this year and are happy for it. Loved that one.
Mm-hmm.
But then, funny, she says, Autumn, why are you wearing a Jimmy Carter campaign shirt? I don't know, why is your son wearing green socks? Phineas, are you wearing green socks? Well, yeah. Where'd you get green socks from? They were in my sock drawer. I never bought you green socks. They were in there. This all sounds very suspicious to me. Agreed. Finny, Autumn and I are going to the kitchen, and when we come back, you better have an explanation for your socks.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Like, I love that she gave us, like, those little moments.
Yeah.
Like,
Something that makes me so sad is, like, this is all happening in high school.
Mhm.
They are so young.
Yeah.
they're babies.
And the way, like this line, Autumn says, I can't remember the context of what she's talking about. That was a dream. I say, I have to accept reality. I think they were talking about, because Jamie was like, you need to find something more tangible, more like realistic than being
For a job.
for a job. And she said, that was a dream. I say, I have to accept reality. I think she's talking to Finney because Finney's like, why are you not going to pursue your dream? And then she says, accept when things are as good as they're ever going to get. And I was like, you are, at this point, you're like in the middle of high
17?
school, 17 maybe. In the way that she is, like, already,
Like, resolved herself.
yeah, like, it's never going to get better than this. And I was like, that's so infuriating that she thinks that she won. It can't get better because she's already given up, like, Finney. Like, she says, like, he's not mine anymore. Girl, like, I get it. Like, she has depression and she's a teenager, but the fact that she so quickly accepted the fact that, like, I can't ever have Finney back, and I can't, this is what I deserve. Like, I deserve somebody like Jamie, not somebody like Finney. How can you think that about yourself this young of an age? And, like, the sad thing is like,
your
it's so
daddy
real.
left you.
Yeah. And the sad thing is it's so real. And that just made me so sad, like, that they're so young and that she's already having these thoughts and like the way that she feels like she has to be with Jamie
Right.
because she thought he was cute and, like, he's, like, so good to her, which, yeah, Jamie's not bad, but there are little things here and there that show that they are not good for each other.
Yeah.
And
I think
The way-
at first they got together as kind of like her forgetting Finney, and then like, oh, I can like somebody else, and she kind of
Yeah.
forced herself because at first you kind of saw that she wasn't like super into it,
Mm-hmm.
but then you could see like the evolvement of their relationship over time and how she did grow to love him, but obviously not in the way that she would ever love Finney. But
and then Finney was the same with Sylvie. Like,
Yeah.
he said, like, he never meant to, like, the only reason he went to the tryout, the cheerleading tryouts or whatever, is to see Autumn if she was there. And then she wasn't there, and then just kind of, like, happened. And it's not like he really wanted to, but, like, knowing Finney, he was with her to basically just, because somebody had to protect her. She was a party girl, she was hurt, and so he was literally just there to protect her and didn't really, like, love her the way that he loved Autumn. And I just think that's so upsetting that, like,
and it's
they
sad
thought
because
that they had to settle.
you literally think that like when you think of like Finney with Sylvie and then Jamie with Autumn, like Jamie and Sylvie, I don't think ever loved them the way that they loved them.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like Sylvie didn't love Finney the way that Finney loved Sylvie. Jamie didn't love Autumn the way Autumn loved Jamie.
Yeah.
Right.
And like both of them put a lot into their relationships, and you could just tell like from their side that like it wasn't good. You know, like are you crying?
I almost did.
I see that. I was like, that's in the tears forming.
I think for me, honestly, I loved, and obviously we only got Autumn's perspective, but I really, really loved reading about like their family dynamics and like the
Yeah.
moms. I love the moms. I
Mhm.
The
love
mothers.
The mothers, yes.
Oh my god. I love them to death, actually. I would die for both of them.
Yeah.
I really liked her like take on their family dynamic though. Like whenever she talked about like her parents, and she said, I highlighted it, but like she's talking about how her mom and dad have been together since high school as well, and she
Yeah.
said, I don't know what binds them together, and I was like, well, sweetie pie, that's probably you. Let's start there. It's probably you, babe.
Yeah.
You probably bind them together.
And what makes you think that your high school sweetheart's going to be any different than your parents being high school sweethearts? Like,
Yeah.
you're just like replicating what they're doing, and
it's
you obviously
clearly-
see it's not working.
Clearly, yeah.
I think I honestly liked Jamie for what he was. I think like he had his moments where he was just like an inconsiderate, stupid teenage boy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I passed off of a lot of like what he said, or even like what the other friends said,
Right.
as like being 15, 16, 17 years
Mhm.
old, and like
Right.
you just say dumb shit sometimes.
Mhm.
Right.
But I didn't hate him, even with the pressuring her into sex. Like, it seemed like a real dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Like, it
Mhm.
seemed like a real high school dynamic. Like,
Yeah.
I know them. I've met
Right,
them. Like,
right.
I've seen
Mhm.
them. And so, like, I liked him for what he was. I liked that he never made a huge issue out of her and Finney's friendship.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When he started realizing, like, how often they still see each other, even though they're not friends in school. Like,
Mhm.
it was never this huge deal. And I really liked that.
Yeah.
But then he went and messed it all up.
Honestly.
And the thing is, I saw it coming from a mile
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Which sucked.
It did. Yeah.
But I was like, how else? Like, I knew, obviously, at some point in this book, we were going to get Finney and Autumn content.
Mhm.
So, unless Autumn broke Jamie's heart,
Which she knew she wasn't gonna do.
right, like, something was going to happen. But oh boy, howdy. When he said, Sasha and I have discovered that we have feelings for each other, I laughed. I laughed like Autumn did. I was like, I would be maniacal. I
Yeah.
would be absolutely feral. And she said, discovered? How very fucking special that must have been for both of you.
Mhm.
I was dying. That is that is one of the funniest lines I've ever read. How very special that must have been.
Mhm.
You discovered that? How very special.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
That's definitely a Hannah line.
Right. I was like, she ate that one up.
Mhm.
But I told Alanis earlier, I was like, what killed me about that whole thing is that he came to her, and through that entire conversation where he is breaking up with her, everything he says is, you know, we're so sorry, we didn't expect this to happen, we feel awful, we really want to be friends, we didn't think it would happen this way, we really feel... Everything was we. And I get that you're trying to be like, she didn't have those intentions either. She didn't want it to go this way either. She didn't think this was going to happen either. But he's coming at her like he's someone already in a new established relationship, and him and his partner are like, hey, we're so sorry for the hurt we've caused you. Instead of being able to come to her like someone who was her partner for 4 years
Yeah.
and being like, hey, I messed up and I'm so sorry and I hate that I've hurt you. He had already resigned himself to being in this other relationship and coming at her like she's like oh, we're really sorry. Like,
Also, like, they kind of touched on it, but, like, how do you accidentally sleep with somebody?
Yeah.
Because he was like, it was all, like, a big accident. Like, we didn't
Yeah.
even mean to. I'm like, you didn't mean to get into bed with
that's
someone?
crazy. Your pants
I
just
wrote-
fell off.
So whenever he says, we both still love you so much, he says, and we've been so worried about you. Sasha really wants to talk to you. I said, oh, F you, dog. Because I was like,
No.
okay, like, I get you're trying to be sweet and nice, but first of all, like you said, stop with the whole we thing. Second of all, she's not going to want to talk to either of you. Like,
She said,
please.
and I won't be calling.
Yeah.
And I
What's
will
so
not.
frustrating is this, it all could have been handled so differently. Because, like I said, there is a difference between, like, if you started to get feelings for somebody, especially a friend, and you broke up with the person you're with to be with that person, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
That somebody could get over.
Right.
Like, maybe it'd take them some time to, like, get the first initial hurt of, like, oh, you're dating my boyfriend who I've been with for 4 years,
Yeah.
and you're my best friend. Like, okay, that would suck at first, but they would get over it.
But there's
Because
something
it's
to be
not
said
that-
for doing things by the book.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Going about
Right.
things correctly.
Yeah.
Like, you give credit where credit's due
Right.
for
Yeah.
doing that.
But then all the red flags of, oh, I cheated on you. We didn't mean to. We accidentally did it.
And it was 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. That part. I will say, like, to also to just to put a wrench in the whole system. I think it's a little funny and ironic that, like, Autumn and Finney end up doing the same thing. but to Sylvie. But I will say,
right.
right. I will say, that one, I'm gonna be this. That one was very different. Not that it was right. Like he still was, technically with Sylvie. However, one, she's halfway across the world. She don't care about him. Two, he already made up the decision. Like I'm gonna break up with her. Like before they decided to have sex. And then also, it's Finny and Autumn. Like they've been in love with each other. For how long?
Since 5th grade.
And he wasn't about to go tell her, "Hey, it was an accident." Like, no, he did.
He would have been completely honest with her. Yeah.
And I feel like he might not have even told Sylvie what happened. He probably just been like, "Hey," like whatever he would have told her before they had sex. Like, "Hey."
Right. Because
I don't
everything's
wanna
still
be
the
with you anymore.
same.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Well,
And
and
obviously
I
it
don't
didn't
I don't feel like
anyways.
he'd even want to stay friends with Sylvie anyway. Like, why would you
No.
want that constant reminder
No.
of the girl you were with only because you could be with the one you really wanted to be with?
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
we sound so hypocritical.
Like, F you, Jamie, and then Finny's just
No, but Jamie
But
is like...
I just hear Ken being like, oh, right as always.
Right as
Bruh.
I know. It's like, because it's a different situation, but
It
it
is
is
different.
similar circumstances.
Right.
of,
Yeah.
And Autumn does feel guilty. Like we said, she did feel a little guilty, but then like
And
they
she even
quickly
said
realized-
it.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
said it because I remember reading that
Mhm.
line. It was literally like, she said what we did was similar, but it was like on a whole nother level. Like
Yeah.
for her, it just didn't feel wrong because it
Yeah.
was so right.
Because
Like,
they really were like
Yeah.
intertwined by their souls.
right.
Yeah.
Holy vey.
Let's talk about the ending.
Oh yeah.
The way Homegirl makes it through a month and then is like, well, that's been just about enough of that. I got no beef.
No. Oh,
Me too, sister.
I
I
was telling Alanis. Were you gonna say something else?
no.
Okay.
I'm just like, yeah, go off.
I was telling Alanis whenever I read that, because I also caught that from Miles Away. Whenever she was talking to Jamie about Romeo and Juliet, and she was like, "Oh, it's so beautiful," and he's like, "But it's so sad," and she's like, "Well, beautiful things can be sad.
Yep.
Romeo and Juliet is so beautiful," and I put it in my notes somewhere. I'm not gonna find it, but I said, "Is she about to pull some Romeo and Juliet type shit? Because if so, and she tries to end her life, I'm going to be livid." And then we get to the end of the book, and she, as soon as she mentions like, the note was easier to write than I thought it would be, I lost it even more. I was already crying at this point, but I lost it even more because I was like, no, please don't do that. But then I told Alanis, whenever she woke up in the hospital the next day, some morbid part of me, I do not condone ending your life whatsoever. I think, no, that is never the answer.
No.
But when she woke up in the hospital the next day, I was kind of sad for her. I was a little morbidly upset because I was like,
Yes.
I wanted that, like, not that I wanted her to do that to herself, but I wanted that resolution for her because she was so beside herself.
Fathom.
I cannot even fathom. That's another reason why I was so heartbroken, because I always imagine myself in like the foots of the antagonist or the protagonist, and so whenever that's all I could think about was like me and my spouse, and so I was like, I don't blame her, to be honest.
I mean, what did we talk about the entire time we're reading ACOTAR? Anything, something would happen to Reese, like end of Wings and Ruin. Whenever poor, I don't know. What if they haven't seen ACOTAR? I don't, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. Have you seen it? Did you read it? I don't know. But I was like, don't talk to them.
No.
Don't talk to them. Don't touch them. Don't move them.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay right here until I die too.
Yeah.
And then the choice that they make, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Like, I'm not going to...
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah. I'm not going to, like in real life, like, I'm not going to do that because there are other things that I have to live for. But, like, in the book, I was like, I don't want that taken away from her because that was her final decision. She got what she wanted in the end, and then it was snatched away. Not even taken, it was snatched away from her so quickly. So I was a little upset when she woke up because I was like, what just happened? Now she's going to be even more depressed because now her mother, which it made me think of like the poor mothers, like her mother is already suicidal.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like her mother would not
I can't
last.
believe Angelina's still alive.
I can't either. But like also Angelina, like the fact that she is going through this, her poor Finny baby boy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I guess it's a good thing that like, she's back because the mothers would just be besides themselves.
I think they
would
both
not.
would end up killing themselves.
Yeah. And then
Because I can almost
whenever-
guarantee the only reason Angelina made it through is because of Claire
Yeah.
and Autumn. And then let something happen to Autumn and they're done.
Yeah. And
The whole
then-
lot of them are gone.
Yeah. And then as soon as the doctor's like, when was your last period? I was like, I sobbed even more because I was like, well, as soon as he was like, do you have anything? And she was like, no. And then he was like, are you on birth control? And she was like, no. And she was like, but I don't care, just do it. I was like, your friend just got
But
pregnant.
we were also just talking about how crazy is it that the first time they both sleep with their men, they get pregnant.
Yeah, because like
Autumn and Angie.
it can happen the one time, but also it's also kind of hard to get pregnant sometimes.
Yeah.
So like that's wild.
I
But it also
literally,
happens to the people who aren't expecting it. But-
Exactly.
I literally told Alanis when she was reading it to me, I was like, stop. She was like, what? I said, Finn's about to die, and then Autumn is going to end up pregnant and pulling a mommy baby. That's exactly, is that not exactly what I said? I was like, because. I was like, all I can see out of this dumb friend group is that they don't know what a condom is,
Yeah.
and they be making babies.
Yeah.
And so the minute he was like, I don't have a condom, and she was like, please, 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 please. I was like, okay, single mom, go off.
Yeah.
Okay, Angelina part 2, go off.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
But then whenever she found out, because like it doesn't officially say like she was pregnant, but like it's assumed that she does get pregnant. And so whenever like the last line of the book, oh my gosh, why did I go all the way back over here? I want to read the last line of the book. Whenever she finds out she's probably pregnant, because she kept saying Finney would forgive me for doing this, like for ending her life. She was like, Finney would forgive me, he would understand. And I was like, yeah, like I agree, I think he would forgive you. But then when she finds out that she's pregnant, she was like, Finney would never forgive me if I did this. Like with his child, I could not. And
When she says this at the end of 88.
yes.
Oh my god.
What is it? Do you have it already?
Or is that what you're talking about? Finney wouldn't approve of me trying to get if I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And
that.
then,
and for the first time in years, I feel like things are going to turn out the way they were always meant to be. I was like,
because when she said, it wouldn't be like having him back, not really, but it would be better than not having him at all.
yeah.
I remember him holding Angie's baby at the hospital, the way he stared in wonder at that small face, and Finney smirks at me because he knows he has won.
Yeah. And now I'm crying.
I was literally about to like
Cause like
get all
what?
teary-eyed.
And then I
That
got
was-
so happy. I was like, now I'm so happy that she's in the hospital and that she's alive because like she didn't even know.
Shouldn't even know.
So like now I'm so happy and they're gonna have a little Finney baby. But like also how depressing to be able to like look at your kid and just only see Finney, which like it's like such a dual thing because like on one
my
side
God.
you're like, oh I love that I can still see him
yeah.
in him or her, like I love that. But on the other side, like I can't, like it's so hard to look at you because that's all that I see.
And it
I
can
cannot
go
imagine
either
that.
way.
Yeah.
Like, it can truly go either way.
Yeah.
Like, as a parent,
Well, I thought too, like, how do you think that like Autumn felt? I'm sure within the month that she was there, before she tried to do any of that, how do you think she felt about like her Finney's mom staying with them? I feel it's like a constant reminder that he's gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it wouldn't be just
I
like her
couldn't-
grieving in her own house, but like his mom's there also grieving, not eating, and so
Yeah.
it's like you're seeing it worse. Like you, not only do you need to get through grief, she needs to get through grief, and your mother.
I've literally thought about these things, like, if anything were to happen to Juan, like, what would I do? Because, like, I'm very much like, I don't know how to grieve with other people.
Mhm.
I really struggle grieving with other people. And I'm like, I don't know what I would do if I lost him because I wouldn't want to be in our home. Like part of me thinks, like, all I would want to do is be in our bed, right?
Right.
But also, I think the idea of being in our bed without him would make me want to be dead.
Yeah.
The idea of being around my family, who's also mourning, but like not mourning the way I'm mourning,
Yeah.
makes me sick.
Uh-huh.
The idea of being around his family, who's mourning more similarly to the way I'm mourning, but it's still not. It's not at the same level, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And like to be around like his mother's devastation. Like, I've thought about this. Like, I don't think I could be around her because she is mourning her baby.
Yeah.
And I'm mourning the love of my life. And I just don't think that I the idea of Angelina literally living there,
Yeah.
I would literally dig a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she made it a month, bless her.
Yeah.
Bless her.
Bless her heart.
Oh my God.
I cannot
I
imagine.
you know what I don't want a book from Vinny's perspective. I don't want it.
No, I
Um,
don't. I think, yeah, because
Because
like I
also
said,
like his is gonna end at the car crash.
yeah.
His ends at the car crash. Unless they're gonna give us some from beyond the grave epilogue where he's like, oh my God, and is Autumn pregnant? You know, like unless
Yeah.
like I'm gonna get that.
Yeah.
I don't want it because it's just gonna be devastating. It's just gonna be him hurting, just like she was already hurting, but in a different way because Finney was like more emotional and more like whatever. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Uh-huh.
What I do want is I want Claire's book and I want Angelina's book.
Yeah.
Because listen, I'm a little bit of a sadist, right? Like, this was awful and horrible, and, like, I don't want to read it again.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do want to know is, I want to know when Angelina got the call. I want to know if Angelina got the call, or because his dad bought the car, his dad got the call.
Yeah.
Because it all depends, right? Like, they run plates. That plate goes back to his dad because his dad bought the vehicle. So then does dad get the call? And then is Angelina answering the phone late at night whenever she's getting this call from her child's father, who
Yeah.
they don't speak to?
Uh-huh.
Are you answering that phone call immediately? Or does it not happen that way and they like have his ID on him so then they're able to contact his mother directly?
Mm-hmm.
Does Sylvie come too and Sylvie tell them like, oh, you need to call his mom? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did that go?
Yeah.
How does poor Angelina respond? How quickly does Angelina get to Claire? Because all we see is Autumn laying in bed and she hears the door open and she's like, Finney? And then Claire says, oh, Autumn.
Yeah.
And then I need that part, right? I
Yeah.
need Claire finding out. I need Claire hearing from Angelina. And then Claire absolutely losing her mind and being like, oh my God, I have to go tell Autumn.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moms finally got what they wanted that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah.
They got home from their trip and they saw the kids in the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And they got this moment of like, wow, maybe things will work out.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be all we've ever wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as Claire, you get the call from your best friend that your godson is dead. And now you have to go tell your daughter that her best friend and love of her life is dead?
Yeah.
And then what did that household look like for that month?
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, then who finds Autumn? Because she left the note at her mom's on the
Right.
table. But then, if they go next door, she put the other note on Finney's bedroom door to not come in.
Uh-huh.
As a mother, I'm thinking, screw the note, I'm coming in.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Literally so funny that you tried to say don't come in and
Yeah.
just call that's hilarious. I'll break the door off the
Yeah.
hinges.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
But like that's what I want. I want an epilogue of from August 8th until the day they find out Autumn's pregnant.
Yeah.
And I want it in dual perspective from Angelina
Mm-hmm.
and Claire.
I would still be extremely sad the whole time, but I
Oh,
feel like I would
devastating.
not be as sad.
But like that's what I want to know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Something that's so weird, I just realized, so like, we love a good slow burn. This is something so sadistically twisted of that, because it's not a slow burn in the sense like,
That they're
what we're-
pining and
that
we're
they're
working
pining and they're
towards it.
flirting and they're whatever, and then we get to it. It's like a slow, what is it? I don't even know how to describe it, but it's almost like a slow burn, but like the flip side of it, to where it's agonizing the whole time. You're like, just talk to each other.
Yeah.
Slow dumpster fire. Thank you, Lacey. And you get the whole time, and then you finally get to the climax of the book when they're together, and then it's all horrible. It's all horrible.
It's awful.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm trying to think about like the last time I read a book that was like this, and I like by choice avoid books like this most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't love this.
I don't either.
I don't love it. I think the last book I read that was kind of similar to this was a Jodi Picoult book that I read in high school. And I never read My Sister's Keeper because I'm not that crazy. I'm not doing that. But I did read a book called Handle with Care. Similar, like, sibling, one of them is sick type of storyline.
Right.
And, like, I kind of knew going into it that, like, something was going to be sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just remember I think I was only like 14 maybe when I read it. And I remember just sitting in my mom's bed sobbing.
Mhm.
And I was like, I won't do this again. I will not read a book that I know is going to devastate me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. And then I read this dumb book.
I've never.
Alana's watched me finish the book. Whenever you finish the book on Kindle, a thing like pops up from Amazon that's like, congrats, you finished the book. Rated on Goodreads. And I literally went 1 star, rated, exit, return to Kindle Unlimited, and I threw it down. I was like, well, that's something I read.
Mhm. I've never read a book like this before. Like, I've read sad books, but I have never read anything this like real and this like heartbreaking. So this is the first for me, and I don't love it. I don't think I'm gonna. I think that's another thing too. Is like, because like I do want Finney's perspective, but I feel like I would have loved it so much more if we got both of their perspectives at the same time. Like, one chapter was her perspective, one chapter was his, and yeah, the book would have been twice as long. But I feel like that would have been less heartbreaking for me, because it's not like I'm having to reread the whole thing again, and I just can't handle that.
Yeah.
So like, I like books that are like that have sad things in it, like Akamov and Akawar. Like,
Sure, they like have moments.
I sobbed at those books too, but there was always a resolution. There was always something that happened.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just, it's done, it's over, and it's like so bleak, and it's just heartbreakingly real. Like, at least like fantasy, there's like elements that keep it separated from real life.
Right.
But this was so real that like it genuinely messed me up. Like, I finished this 2 days ago. It messed me up. Like, I kept texting Jordan like, "Hey, did you make it to work safe? Like, are you okay?" Like, it like messed with my head to where I was like, I need like a break, and I need to read some fantasy.
Haley, it's
No, I'm good. I'm just like remembering, like, after I read it, I was like, yeah.
I by choice don't read things that don't have an HEA. I'm reading happily ever afters all the time, always.
Same, yeah.
The only things that have deviated from that are like, technically ACOTAR doesn't always end in a happily ever after, but it does normally like wrap up in a nice nice way. But that's like the only deviation that I've made until this book. So who is blowing up my phone?
Literally.
Clam. Oh, she finished Verity.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole other moment.
Yeah. But yeah, it didn't put me in a good headspace. So
Yeah,
I was like,
no.
I don't think I want to. I don't know if I
See,
want
the
to.
thing is, like,
that
we've mentioned it before. I don't know if we talked about it on here, but like, I know we have put it in our group chat, but like, I am not an emotional reader. Like, I am an emotional and sensitive person, but for some reason, when I read, it's not like, because I know it's not real. Like, I don't make that connection. It doesn't really
You're able
hit
to
me the same.
separate
Yeah.
real life. Yeah.
But reading this book did kind of wreck me. I read it, and I think it's because it hit me in a different way that other books have. Because I've read things that, like, sure should have made me cry. But this one was just, it was kind of very real. And, like, Autumn's sense of depression. Like, I've been there. When she was talking about the winter.
Worked, like, I was like, girl.
And the way, like, people started to make her feel bad about it. And just, like, and then she started to feel bad about it, and she saw her mom struggle with it, and I was just like, this is a little real for me. I cried. I sobbed when Jamie was breaking up with her and told her that her depression was too much, and he felt like he always had to take care of her, and I was like, oh my God. Like, that.
But I felt like that wasn't even represented in the book.
No.
Like, I feel like she was so self-reliant.
Yeah, and sure, like, there were some points where I do remember she needed, like, some reassurance. But, like,
sure.
What girl doesn't need some reassurance?
Yeah.
What freaking person?
I'm married, and
needs some
sometimes I need reassurance, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, when he was saying stuff about her depression and kind of twisting it on her, saying that it was, like, a lot for him to handle, and she's just going to get worse because it's how her mom was. And I was like, how? I know how that feels. And that sucks. That's awful. And that's the first time I cried at the book.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I cried at the ending because that also sucked. But I was just... It was more so I cried because of the situation that I could relate to.
Yeah.
And I could understand where they were coming from.
And how could you do that? Say, like, Your depression is too much for me to handle. Like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that my depression is too much for you to handle, as if it's not so much for me to handle.
No, literally.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm
it
doing just fine.
sounds-
Yeah.
Things.
It sounds just like her dad with her mom, though.
Mm.
You know what's so funny? There's a part in the book, and
It's like the parallels of Jamie being just like her dad.
yeah, there have been several things where I'm like, red flag, red flag, but one specifically. Sorry, let me find it.
The Kindle do be taking a minute to
It
load.
do be taking a minute. Oh, whenever Autumn said, talking about her dad, he's always liked Jamie. I said, if that isn't a fat red flag, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, that was weird. Like usually when a man meets his daughter's boyfriend, he's
Uh-huh.
usually like a little like,
Leery, like,
okay, like let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
But like he immediately likes Jamie. I'm like,
Yeah.
suspicious.
because you see yourself in him.
And then the way that, like you mentioned earlier, that Autumn said, well, like it worked out for my mom and dad and they met in high school. It's not working out, Sweet Pea.
Yeah.
They are getting a divorce.
Yep.
And he's never home. That's exactly what would happen if you and Jamie got married.
Yep.
So
Yep.
maybe don't do that.
And the fact that he's asking you to leave your dreams behind like that.
Literally, you're in high school.
I'm just, I'm so angry because, like, he was talking about, like, oh, they were going to go to the same college and state.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, oh, and then, like, I'll probably do, like, pre-med in New York. She could have bought a black turtleneck. And she could have sat in a coffee shop and thought deep thoughts
Yeah.
while he was doing his pre-med.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if he's going to school to be a doctor, then she can afford to be a creative writer
Yeah.
until,
Mhm.
like, something picks up, if something picks up. Like, she could afford to do what she loved
Mm-hmm.
and, like, wait tables on the side. Because if he's going to medical school, you're paying the big bills, babe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it could have worked out,
It really could have.
and it just didn't because instead he died.
Yeah.
And, like, how
Um,
frustrating is that?
And there were so many opportunities too when it could have worked out. Like they, like you guys said, they were with each other since the womb.
The womb.
The womb. There were so many
They
opportunities.
kicked each other belly to belly.
Yeah, there were so many opportunities to where they could have been like, "Hey, I like you. Hey, I'm in love with you. Hey, do you want to go on a date?"
The fact that like they are that close and they just don't know how to communicate with each
Yeah.
other is and I feel like it does speak on part of, well, they were in middle school when he did that, and so like sure, like middle school kids dumb,
Mhm.
they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They can't
Mhm.
they can't think.
Oh, whenever I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
Whenever Finney, after he read her story, I'm gonna cry again. After he read her story,
Oh,
And he was like-
Haley, I can't.
he was like, "Why did you?" He was like, "Why did you?" What did he say?
Why'd you leave me?
Why did you leave me? And then
And she was like, "What? I just
She-
came to bed."
yeah, and he was
"No."
like, "No," in middle school, and I was like, because it's true. Like she's the one who kind of left him, and she was like, "I didn't really mean to leave you. It's just like we kind of like drifted apart." But also, she got so wrapped up in the idea of like being cool and like being accepted, which understandable. Like I get it, understandable. But also, none of that even matters.
God, it
like,
doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't, like, that's something I hate so much about, like, middle school and high school is, like, getting so wrapped up in, like, being cool and being in with, like, the cool kids and, like, even nowadays when, like, we're a little more evolved now. A little bit. But it's still, people are still so cliquey and people are still so rude to each other. Literally, it doesn't matter. Whenever you graduate high school, like, looking back, I'm 25. Looking back at my high school days, I would punch my lights out if I like heard my thoughts of like whether people liked me, whether people thought I was cool, dressing a certain way, talking a certain way. Like literally none of that matters. High school is not the end of the world. Being a teenager is not the end of the world. It's like that made me
That's what
so frustrated.
sucks though, is because I feel like we're at that age where we're finally getting to where we're truly old enough to where it's not just like, ugh, I was so dumb in high school, but like, I don't know how y'all's brains work,
Mm-hmm.
but my brain, I think of my younger self as like a whole other person sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want to hold her, and I just want to
Mhm.
talk to her, because like, I feel like being like 25 is where we're still young enough to remember it pretty clearly a lot of the time,
Yeah.
but old enough and separated enough to know that, like, boy, did I make some wrong decisions, right?
Yeah.
Like, boy, did I make the wrong call there. But I'm empathetic to it. I'm so empathetic to it
Mm-hmm.
because, like, half of this I was like, oh my god, you guys are so dumb. You're so high school. Like, this book is so high school.
Yeah.
Because it is. And, like, I haven't read a YA book in a while, and so it was interesting reading about, like, a high school experience. But I'm so empathetic to it because everything feels so big.
Yeah.
Everything is literally the end of the world. Like, I remember it. And it's stupid because I can sit here now and I would tell any high schooler that I talk to, any middle schooler that I talk to, that, like, it isn't the end of the world. You will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You will be fine. But I remember being that age.
Yeah.
And I remember that 100 people could have told me that, and it's not clicking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to click.
Yeah.
Because right now, this is my world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, school and the people that you surround yourself with are your entire world.
Yeah.
And, like, nobody can convince you otherwise.
And the whole idea of, like, trying to have your life figured out in those 4 years
I was
of high
just
school,
about to say that, dude.
like, that is so mind-boggling to me. I understand, like, it's important to, like, think about what you want to do and go to college and do all those things. But the pressure that you feel, like, the amount of pressure that I remember feeling, and then also that, like, Autumn must have felt and Finney must have felt, on top of everything that they have to go to. First of all, you're going through puberty, and you're going through all of these whacked up things in high school. And on top of that, you also are pushed to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. Hey, dog, I'm married, I have a kid, and I'm 25. I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life. Live. I
we
don't
were
know.
just talking about
I'm
that.
literally
happy.
just hoping to survive.
Yeah, I did not finish college. I'm a preschool teacher. And hey, I'm doing fine. I'm happy. Is this the career choice that I'm going to have for the rest of my life? Probably not. But that's fine. I'm 25. And that's still, like, it's so weird to say this. This is just like a paradox. I'm old enough now to realize how young I really am.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that 25 is still so young, but I'm also old enough to realize that, like, I've aged, like, I've gotten older, I've matured a little bit to where I'm looking back at my high school self saying, like, hey, chill out, calm down. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to have your whole life figured out. Because I remember being in high school, like, planning my wedding, planning on when I want to have kids, planning on what what we're gonna do when we graduate. Like, we're gonna because I already knew in high school that I wanted to marry my husband, and so I was like, we're gonna go to college for 2 years, we're gonna get our AAs, we're gonna get married, we're gonna wait 2 years, we're gonna have a kid. Like, none of that went to plan, dog. None of it, which is fine. I'm glad it happened the way it happened. But I just remember thinking that I had to have it all planned out. I had to have it all figured out, and
We plan our lives away.
Yeah.
yeah,
You spend so long, like, planning, and nothing ever works out the way you
No.
plan it. And not to say, like, don't plan. I think it's a mind occupier. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
But, like, you have to have the grace with yourself
mm-hmm.
to, like, let it
And half
go
of them
and
are,
move
like-
on and just take things for what they are.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, half of them are like, I wouldn't really say like hopeless in the term of like it's never going to be achieved, but it's kind of like hopeless goals
Mhm.
of like you don't understand the reality of what you're trying to go for until you get into the real world and realize that that's not really realistic.
Yeah.
Like what you're trying to achieve is not what your little immature brain
like, thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's much more than you think. A lot more things go into it. It's not just like I'm gonna do this when I'm out. Like
Yeah.
real world hits you hard, and then you see,
Yeah.
oh well, maybe that's not how that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it's crazy to just kind of like see how they use the immature mindset
Mm-hmm.
and like how they grow over the 4 years.
It is, like, because I do see, like, she matures a lot through the 4 years of high school, but I also it's all still so relatively similar.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, because when you're in it, not much changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was honestly, like, I thought it was a good book. I liked the way that she wrote it
Yeah.
because it was easy to read. It was It
was kind of like a good mind break.
It was a good mind break from fantasy.
Yeah.
I will never read it again, and I don't recommend it if you are easily hurt.
Reread quality 0.
Yeah.
Rereadability score 0 out of 10.
Yeah. I would like to go back to my fairy smut. Instead, actually.
Like your husband said you needed a laughable, fun, sex-filled romp of an adventure.
Yes.
And I'll
Exactly.
find that for you.
I would like to gallivant in the Enchanted Forest.
Yes. Which is
Rather-
going to go into our next series that we're going to talk about. We're going to go into
Yes.
Fourth Wing. We're
Okay.
going to do Fourth Wing the next couple weeks.
Oh, are we?
And then we'll pick our next one.
She thinks I'm gonna read Iron Flame.
She needs to.
You still have not read it. Oh my gosh.
That's so silly.
I'm gonna reread them because I've already read them.
You're not going to reread
I'm
them.
gonna
You have
skim
so many
them.
other things to read.
I'm gonna skim them.
Please be so for real.
Also, those are not small books to
No,
skim,
they're
Haley.
not.
Please be so for real.
I just
She's
started.
going to listen to the audiobook on like 3
I just
times
started.
speed.
Yeah, literally. I started the second Crescent City book yesterday. Or today. So, yeah, I'm gonna be reading a lot of words.
They think I'm gonna read Iron.
Oh, but you will,
Oh, you
so
will.
you're going to
If
have to
you
get
can
over
read
it. We
all
have
of
content
Akatar,
to film.
Hannah, you can
Hannah.
read Iron Flame. Because I didn't sob in Iron Flame. Like, I cried. Sure, I cried every book I read. But I didn't sob like I did in Akatar. So, like, you can handle it. It's fine.
But it's not done.
But it's gonna be done soon.
Neither is Akatar, and you still read the whole thing.
Yeah, but Akatar always feels like it ends well.
Okay,
You know
well,
what I mean?
no.
Mm-hmm. No, it'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be worth it.
Oh, no.
It'll be worth it. There's a lot of good spicy stuff in it. So.
Oh, once Violet gets over herself? Oh!
Literally. Oh.
Hey, you've had a break from them for a long while,
Yeah,
Hannah.
you missed them.
I'm reading the Salacious Players Club.
You're reading a lot at the moment.
Why would I read Iron Flame when I can read the
Hannah will be
Salacious
like,
Players
I
Club?
read 7 books this weekend.
Lacey and I are leaving tomorrow,
Uh-huh.
and we're going to be gone for 2 days, poolside. Do you know what I'm going to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read so many books.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I wish I could do that.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'm really excited, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what I won't be reading? Iron Flame.
Yonito! It's so good.
You have a week to get over yourself, and then you need to pick the book up.
You know what I was about to say? You know when I'll read it? 2 days before we film.
Mm-hmm.
You know when I read this? Today. Today.
You need to give yourself a couple more days than just 2.
Yeah, I don't know how many pages are there.
700
thick.
some pages.
It's bigger than the first one.
Yeah.
Like, quite big.
Yeah, better get on it, Hannah.
These
Mhm.
fantasy
On
bitches
it.
are crazy.
Yeah.
At least you're not doing back to back like I did.
Yeah.
That's true. I did that too.
Whew.
You gave yourself a little Violet break.
Yeah, I did. I read that in November.
Dang.
Is that break enough?
Yeah.
Well, kids, another successful pod.
Mm-hmm.
Another
We'll probably
successful
steer away
book.
from this genre of books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am gonna go back in Goodreads and change the rating from a 1 star. I'm not trying to drag down anybody's average. Laura, I respect the work you put in.
It is
I'll
good
fix
writing.
it.
It is good writing.
I'll fix it. I just had to have my moment. But I will fix it. Yeah. Good pod, gals.
Yeah.
Good chats. Good cries.
Thanks for watching me cry.
Yeah, we're so proud of you,
Thank
Haley.
you.
So beautiful.
I didn't cry as much as I thought I would.
No,
So
you did good. You did good.
thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Did you read the book? Have you read it? Or
So
did you just
sorry.
listen to us talk
If
for
you
no
have.
reason? Yeah, so literally so sorry.
Or did you listen to us talk so you didn't have to read it?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
If
That's
so,
something Hannah would do,
Yeah.
for sure.
maybe. Oh my god, whenever she said in this book, she was like, I'm the type of person that tries to guess the ending while I'm reading it, I was like, LOL.
All Hannah does is
The
tell,
amount of-
tell me how it
Yeah.
happens.
The amount of times that I would text Alanis anytime I'm reading something and I'm like, I just feel like this is going to happen. And she would get to the point where, like, for a while, she'd be like, oh, yeah, that's an interesting take, like, and try to, like, brush me off. And then eventually she'd be like, do you enjoy doing this to yourself? Do you enjoy doing this? Do you enjoy ruining it?
Uh-huh.
That was perfect. But, thanks for hanging.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry if you read it. How many times did you cry? Very good question. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I think I am going to go back. I'll probably give it 4 stars. 4 out of 5.
I feel like I'd do 4.
Yeah, I do 4. I did that on when I rated it on Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. And then next episode, next week, we're going Fourth Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Are we going That was wild. Are we going double feature, or are we going 2 weeks in a row? Fourth Wing, then Iron Flame.
Fourth Wing and then Iron Flame.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got you for the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
You guys read those? Everybody did, so I know you did, so don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
So don't lie, because I'll call your mom. So just make sure you follow, and you like, and you subscribe, and you comment. Drive up the engagement. We're trying to do something here, kids.
Yeah.
We're trying to do something here.
Yeah.
We're mainly just looking for bookish friends in a bookish community. So maybe if you've read books before, or if you've read the back of a pasta box, or if you've ever read directions on how to bake brownies, you're right on the way to being friends with us. You're reading
the Southern
things.
Draw coming from?
Was there one?
Oh, for sure. If you read the back of a pasta box.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Sometimes there are a few people in here.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come out.
Yeah.
Y'all just gotta let me know. Maybe you'll meet more people in the next episode.
Yeah.
But they'll all look like me. Isn't that something? Love you so much.
Bye.